this as a policy. So I would encourage you to put the same documentation up for every development that comes in.
This one came in the first time I was on the board over 8 years ago.
I know, I'm not saying go back 8 years, although it's coming back in new. It's coming back in again.
We'll talk
We'll
to
look at it
Abby about
under
that.
advisement.
Okay,
We have to
that's
see how
fine.
much room we also get on the website. We're trying to keep current, not historical data on there.
Well, at the very least, it would be helpful if it said at least some geographical area of where the property is. Thank you.
Okay, any other public comments on that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes 5-0. Anything else, Mr. Esty?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Actually, Mr. Bright, I wanted to ask that we talk about the general obligation debt while Mr. Odette is still here, in case there's any questions for you.
We've been monitoring interest rates with Caln, which is the program administrator for the Delaware Valley Regional Finance Authority. Earlier this week, they sent me an analysis that shows we can take out the entire 2013 general obligation bonds and significant savings and interest. We had been looking at that earlier. We were only able to take out some of the last years where the rate was 3% previously, which didn't make a lot of sense then to take out a portion of that bond issue. We're now in a position where we can take out the entire bond issue. I have a spreadsheet in front of you there that you prepared. By this September, after we make the September payment, the outstanding balance in the bond issue will be $5,205,000. The interest rates on those remaining bonds range from 2% to 3%. What we're proposing, or they're proposing, is that we issue general obligation notes 2019. That would be in the amount of $5,233,000. That's $20,000 higher. That takes into account the financing costs associated with the transaction. What that leaves us with is, if you look over, that would be an interest rate of a fixed interest rate of 1.824%. If you go over to the second to last column of the spreadsheet, that shows you what the savings would be for each of the next 12 years. It totals $263,200. And that is net of the cost that's going to the table here. What we're asking tonight is simply that the board authorizes staff to advertise the ordinance for consideration at a future meeting. We will have Commissioner Calhoun from Calhoun and Baker at that meeting to answer more detailed questions regarding the proposal.
What did you say the total bond would be? 5 million?
$5,233,000. That's the very first column there.
And this would be a savings of about $227,000.
No, it's in present value. It's in gross dollars. It's $263,200.
Is that minus the 28,000 for the?
That's subtracted out of there.
Oh, it is, okay.
Okay, so entertain a motion to advertise an ordinance that would authorize the incurrence of this obligation by the township. So we're not voting on this actual item, we're just going to be advertising. So could I have a motion maker to advertise?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Chambers, seconded by Commissioner Kramer. Any comments or questions from the board on this one? Okay, and Mr. Dion, you had a question?
Very simple.
Okay.
First, thanks for the new podium. Sorry about the last one.
This is a lot more rugged.
Yeah, this is a whole lot. First I want to thank Ms. Dang and Mr. Wilson. They've taken time to meet with me. They've also answered my emails in very prompt and good fashion, so I really appreciate that. I know banking finance and doesn't always mess up with municipal finance. There's some things that make sense. So, two questions really, that I wanted Mr. Wilson is, although the rate is 1.84 or 1.824 is fantastic, so great job on that. But on page 6 of the ordinance, we're doing it at a maximum interest rate of 15%, which, why would we have that if it's fixed?
Because this is considered by DCED to be a variable rate, which it is right now because we haven't locked into a rate.
Okay.
Which we would do sometime between once the ordinance is approved and settlement.
Because at 1.824%, or 4.8%, we'll say, you know, you're only looking at $96,000 in interest in the first year. And, you know, this is putting $771,000. When you look at these numbers, it really skews your thought process on that.
No, I don't follow.
If I may, this whole procedure has to be approved by the Pennsylvania Department of Communities and Economic Development under the Government Unit Debt Act. And because it's a variable rate, it's required that we sort of put the worst case scenario in the ordinance. But once the ordinance is passed, then the township will lock in the interest rate that seems most favorable. And if anything changed, we won't go through with the deal, but the interest rate will be locked in.
We're pretty confident in getting that rate.
Yeah, I talked to Mr. Caln today, and
The-
they're sort of astounded that the rates continue to drop.
They do, and they'll continue to drop for a while longer.
Now, the rate changes every day.
Right.
Now, we'll have the rate as of, at the next meeting, when the ordinance is considered, we would have the rate at the close of business that day. So if the decision was made to lock in at that point, we would have that rate.
And then, this is until that of the township.
For the township, yes, and then we have the borrowing that the authority just undertook, which was guaranteed by the township.
How much was that one?
2.8.
Except for a new pump?
Yeah, Paul, you off the top of your head?
Don't remember off the top. I know it was 2 points. Yeah.
Pretty long station, right? Okay.
He was asking the principal.
Oh, the principal. 2.8?
That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe changed it a couple times. I think it had like 2.8.
We'll be able to get a similar rate on that.
No, we locked it in a little bit earlier, so it's a little bit higher. And that also goes out a little bit further in time, because this issue was partially paid off already.
Right.
So obviously, the longer the term, the higher the weighted average rate.
And the only thing I asked, if I could have a copy of that spreadsheet before we proceed, sent to me, that'd be great.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions from the public? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes 5-0. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, have a good night.
You too.
Okay, Mr. Kulikowski.
Good evening. I'll give you a quick update on the planning commission since I was not at the planning commission meeting last week. They did discuss the capital improvements plan. They discussed the sign ordinance and the wireless ordinance. I know at their meeting in July, the county solicitor's office will be there to discuss the wireless ordinance with them. And at that meeting in July, we'll also have a discussion regarding Christian Faith Fellowship and the Dwell PRD property we discussed at that meeting. You have all received the memo from the planning commission regarding what they did for tonight's meeting regarding the capital improvements plan. And do you have any other questions for me regarding the other projects currently ongoing for review before the planning commission in the next 2 months?
What's the definition of a changeable copy sign?
That would be a sign, my understanding is what the LED would be, you can change the wording. The LED
Oh,
sign.
okay, all right.
That's a changeable copy sign.
Currently, the ordinance doesn't for that. Okay.
So there's a lot of variances coming in. So for example, Wawa with their gas, price is considered changeable copy
Gotcha.
by definition. So that's one thing we were looking to try to bring the sign in that's going to be more in line with current practices. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from Mr. Polakowski?
I saw or is that gonna be for the bridge change order?
Mhm.
Is that part of this now, or is that something you're gonna?
It's just an extension of 45 days. It's gonna change in anything, but they're still waiting for this structure to get delivered this
I'm
week.
sorry, we can get them.
it's a separate project. Second for you tonight, I wanted to present to you the final budget and some discussion for the Arley grant we are going to be applying for tomorrow for the signalization at the Wood Avenue Bridge. We've been working for the last 2 weeks on the application package and the budget, and the current grant application will be submitted for a total budget of $245,205, of which that $194,400 is the construction costs, and we have the rest of it will be in the PennDOT required items, which are preliminary engineering, final design costs, right-of-way costs, and miscellaneous services. Which miscellaneous services we're considered to be the bidding and contract administration. Right-of-way costs, we have a number in the budget in case we need to do with right-of-way with the road downtown, for the pump station area, because the pole pedestal being located on that property. And then we have also included geotechnical investigation because the soils near the stream may not be sufficient for a standard pole installation. We need to do a foundation design, which is included in here as well. Bid specifications, bid documents, the wetland survey, the site survey, which was conducted last week, and also the design and signal permitting coordination is all included in here. We are proposing to provide a $20,000 match from the township, which we've broken out as $15,000 in the preliminary engineering budget and $5,000 in the final design cost. This has the township match, so you can see that. I'm here tonight just to ask you for your vote of approval to submit the application tomorrow as presented.
How much was the total again? I'm sorry.
Total grant application is $245,205.
And your match is 20,000?
20,000.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve submission of the Arley grant application as presented, the total amount being $245,205 and a $20,000 match from the township.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Tindaro, seconded by Commissioner Kramer. Any comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the floor? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes 5-0.
Thank you. Do you have anything else for me tonight?
I do not. Any other questions for Mr. Holcomb? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Denny.
Yes. We have had the capital improvement plan out for public, comment. We haven't received any. I did work with the consultant to update a few, minor changes, Mr. Kramer's name for one, some ownership issues that they had brought up, some PennDOT roads that I said, that we want to make sure that it says, we'll be working in conjunction with PennDOT to fund this. So there were minor language type changes, but all projects and things to that effect remain the same. So at this point, if the board wishes to, they can officially adopt the CIP plan.
Right, I will entertain a motion to adopt the capital improvements plan.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Chambers, seconded by Commissioner Tindaro. Any comments or questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the floor, Mrs. Spalding?
I just have a question. Where is this out to the public for input?
It's been on the website for almost 3 weeks.
Where?
It's under news on the website, capital improvement plan.
I gotta tell you, at some point, you have to tackle this webpage so that people understand things are on there. Because I can tell you, I've never seen it, and certainly never heard of it before, and I'm willing to bet you that 90%, 99% of the people in this township have never heard of it and never seen it.
It's under news, it's the third item under news.
How about you have, out of the news, how about you have for consideration, or we're gonna vote on this in the future? This is happening all the time. I mean, just like you just said, you've been out for this zoning thing for 7 months. Well, that's interesting, because months ago, we asked right here at this meeting whether you were gonna fund for the zoning, and everybody looks like, well, we don't think. And yet, you've been working on it for 7 months. I rest my case. I will look at it now that you proved it. I'm sure it's fabulous.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, anything else, Ms. Denny?
No, but just to mention that the zoning, we did approve with our capital budget last year. It's been something we've been working on, and we've made it very clear we've been waiting for the DPP grant to come around in order to fund that. We have a consideration to accept change order number 1 for an extension of 45 days to the Fisherville Road Bridge replacement contract. It has taken some time for them to get that bridge placement in. It is supposed to be delivered this week. So the contractor is just asking for a 45-day extension.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept the change order for an extension of 45 days of the Fisherville Road Bridge replacement contract.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Young, seconded by Commissioner Tindaro. Any comments or questions from the board?
I noticed there's a, increase in the contract by $1,496. And I'm looking at the spreadsheet on the back, I can't tell exactly what is that for?
It was a change, basically the change between the bid time and now in the increase in the pricing structure.
Okay, and the price, and then is that product? So that's a change in price for materials for it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, and then we have a consideration to approve the pump station stormwater best management practices. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the best management practices for the pump station stormwater.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Chambers, seconded by Commissioner Tindaro. Any comments or questions from the board on this one?
Yeah, I read through this thing and it was fascinating. But what?
It's rather silly. We're actually signing an O&M with ourselves to say that we will maintain the stormwater management necessities for the pump station.
Okay.
It is rather silly but cumbersome, but if we were ever audited for any reason, new development, we have to show that every new I'm sorry, I can't hear with the crowd.
Yeah, please. Excuse me, please refrain from having conversations in the audience. It's making it difficult to hear.
In any event, basically, if we were ever audited, it shows that every new development has to have an O&M agreement, even when we are essentially the developer.
Okay.
So that we are signing an agreement with ourselves to say that we will continue stormwater maintenance.
Okay.
Legal litigation with their HOA, so I have a feeling that hasn't been closed out only because of that. Both sites are built out. There are no more open permits as far as building permits. Every site is built out and has a unit.
Okay. Two other things I've got for you. One is I was actually asked probably twice now within the last week or so about the number of signs that are up now. It seems that somebody came around and put something up, was putting them on private property, specific signs, at intersections and those types of things. And it seems to me that it looks like there's a lot more signs that are up now, the little for sale, or we buy houses, or those kind of things, lately. I know we've talked about this multiple times when I was sitting out there. What can we do to maybe address that a little bit more? I know it's a daunting task.
It is a daunting task, but from an enforcement perspective, it's a little difficult because really what the wording in zoning says is that those type of signs, unless they're for a specific event and can be taken down right away, are not allowed to be in township right away. So what we run into is when they're in, PennDOT right away, and when they're in private property. So, for us to go around, if we see them in our intersections, then we do. We take those, we bring them back, we leave them here in case somebody wants to come claim them. Where we run into some difficulty on how to not be a Gestapo state as opposed to not letting the township, look a way we don't want it, is those that people put in their yards. Is it in our right of way? I'll take whatever suggestions the commissioners as a group have. I just don't know how to enforce that part. It's very difficult to enforce it consistently and fairly.
I guess the question is, what course of action does a citizen have if if they see a sign in their, if somebody puts a sign, this individual will pick them up, throw them away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if it's
But,
in your property.
Do they have recourse, either through you or through the police department to say, hey, there's people putting stuff on my property? There's phone numbers right on it.
I would think, unfortunately, that would be a civil issue. The actual fact of them putting it in your yard, there's nothing I would be able to do about that. I don't think there's anything the police would be able to do it, I guess, unless they actually seen somebody putting, basically defacing their property. After it's already there, they could say, I don't know who put it there. That's why I said that's also a difficult, very difficult.
Is that considered trespassing? I'm just asking.
But you have.
Well, what Ray had mentioned, if there's a phone number on the sign, and we got a resident complaint, we would try to follow up first with whoever put the sign there. If you don't know who put the sign there, it's pretty hard to do anything other than, look, it's on the homeowner's property. If they don't want it there, they can kind of do with it whatever they want. If you put it there, I'm sure it's with the understanding that, hey, look, this isn't my property. I'm putting it on somebody else's property. If they discard it, there's not a whole lot that, I'm not gonna arrest the resident for theft of a lawn sign that someone put there and didn't have permission to put there. So we generally try to work with people, in this case, both sides, to kind of just educate them and avoid the scenario that you kind of described and Ray mentioned about it just looking like crap.
We do keep a pile of signs down there. We turn up all, and we keep them for about 3-4 weeks. And if they don't show up, then we just get rid of them.
All right, cool, thank you. And the last thing I've got, I was heading up Bondsville Road, stopped at the stop sign right there across from Beaver Creek Tavern. I looked up on the top of the hill. It seems to me that the stuff that's going up, maybe up on Faddis, are we able to go in and take a look and make sure that they're complying with, I guess, whatever the zoning is for that area? It looks like the piles are getting higher. Because if I can come up there and I can see stuff up over the trees, that's telling me that, I don't know what's going on, and I'm not gonna drive up on
I
our
can
property.
take a ride over there. If I can visually see something from the public way, that looks like a violation, then my first step would be to write a letter and say, hey, it looks like you're, erecting a structure and you had no permit, or
It's a pile of stuff. It's like gravel or I don't know what it is. But if you're at the stop sign,
Yep.
Heading west on 340, look up over top of Beaver Creek, and there's stuff
Oh, you
that's
mean up
higher.
in the fattest, in the production plant?
Yeah. Not on Beaver Creek, not
I
there.
gotcha.
Up on Faddis, up on the top of the hill.
Yeah, I can contact them and kind of find out. I don't drive past there all the time. I haven't noticed, but I can kind of find out what, are they doing some kind of project? Is that stockpile for their business? I don't know. But I can find out. I can check on that.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Stackhouse?
Can I raise concern? I'm Alicia Grady from Ironwood Drive. We live on the other side of the creek, and we hear a lot of gunshots back there, and I know that there is some type of hunting that's allowed. But I called the police once, and somebody really nice spoke to me for quite a while, and they said there was nothing that we could do about that from a local perspective, and I think they told me to contact the Pennsylvania Gaming Commission, but there are times when there's just an awful lot of gunshot going on, and we have a lot of children on that street, and I don't know when those rules were put in place, but I have to think it was before that street was developed. So I don't know if there's any direction. I don't think I could single-handedly do anything about it, but it just doesn't seem right.
So the township has limitations on the use of certain types of firearms, mostly the type of projectile that you could fire from the firearm. And then the Crimes Code and Game Commission Code also have limitations on not firing across the roadway, how far you need to be from a residential area. My advice would be, we follow up on all these calls when we receive them. If you hear gunshots, call.
Any other questions for Mr. Stackhouse? Okay, thank you. All right, Director of Public Works, Mr. Fraggle.
Good evening. You have my report in front of you. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them for you.
So Mike, along Geo Carlson, the path there, the weeds are getting high in between the curb and the path.
Yeah, we're out now with the whole crew, boom mowing, roadside mowing, weed whacking, curbs, guide rails, pretty much everything for the next 2 weeks. We'll be doing that every day.
Okay.
So we'll take care of that.
Definitely along the roadway curb, and then
Yeah.
when you get up onto the path, it's really, some areas are tall.
Okay. Yeah, we're working on that right now, so.
Okay, any other questions or comments from Mr. Fraggle? Okay, thank you. All
Thank you.
right, and we'll say Golf Manager, Mr. Ward. I know,
He's on vacation.
he's on vacation. Okay. So Mr. Diaz, you had a question about Ingleside?
Yeah, just briefly. Once again, thanks to the board for letting me be part of the golf committee. Ms. Denny came with many ideas that'll help. George had ideas that'll help. And I think JT is a good addition. He's doing some different things. Unfortunately, I think they're faced with a daunting task of trying to erase that $100,000 deficit to get enough players out there. So what I'd like to see happen is us actually do an appraisal of that golf course, which we haven't had one since 2006. There are firms that I can give you that can do appraisals of golf course and find out what it's worth compared to what we owe on it. And then secondly, based on that appraisal, make an informed decision of should the township be managing that, or should we actually seek a third party to manage the course, Mr. Ward included, and generate enough revenue so that they're taking care of everything and we're getting a check back. Want to know what you thought of that idea? I mean, the appraisal's not going to be outrageous as a cost. But I think it'd be a good idea to find out, are we better off managing the golf course when we actually start making money off that golf course by having a golf course management company take it over and pay us a fee? And
What would be the next steps if we wanted to follow up with that?
If the board wanted to have an appraisal done, they could tell me, authorize me to get quotes for an appraisal.
Okay.
And I would like to pursue the outsourcing. That sounds like something to actually to look into.
right,
But why the appraisal, just to see the value?
you're going to need the value in order to go out for the outside counsel.
So
So
you're
they're
talking
going to
business.
determine how much they have to put into it in order to make their money. So they're going to want to know what it's actually worth.
So more like an ROI type of thing. Right, all right, gotcha. Okay. And I was concerned whether it was, you're talking about selling it, but that's an open space that I don't think we'd ever want to get rid
No,
of.
I think it should remain a golf course. I mean, I enjoy playing. I played it twice in the last couple of weeks. It needs some work.
I agree.
And Philadelphia's done this in the past. Not to any great success a lot of times, but they bring in outside companies to run the golf courses, bring in their own money, improve them. And so now you have, instead of us, it's either that or we gotta put money into improve it to attract more golfers. And we don't wanna put more money into it if it's not making money. That doesn't make any sense. So I think the two-part process of finding out what it's worth and then going out to management companies and saying, anybody interested in managing, bid on this, and you can pay us a check every month instead of us paying out $100,000 a year.
you know, I personally think it's worth investigating.
I agree. And
I know we talked about this before, and I'm not sure if this was ever done, having a third party come in to take over, but don't we have to still pay, the bond?
We'll have to do that anyway.
So would that be in the, within the value and the pricing?
Well, you would have to, if somebody's willing to pay, depends, if somebody is willing to pay you, let's say, $500,000 a year to run the place, you would take $100,000 out of that to pay the bond.
Okay, bond. Thank you.
But if they come back and say they're willing to pay you $100,000 a year, then you would make nothing.
Well, okay, thank you.
But if you're not making anything, you're at least breaking even.
Right.
Even 100,000, you're breaking even.
You're not gonna break it.
Yeah.
so I would be interested in pursuing it, or at least seeing proposals. Okay.
I mean, I think we need to find out how much it's gonna cost for an appraisal.
I have 4 appraisals, like, for appraisers who are capable of doing golf courses. I'm like, give the list of this thing, like,
Are those appraisers that are, again, appraising the business, or are they appraising, what
they'll
are,
probably appraise the golf course from 2 ways, piece of real estate, and then revenue that they can generate.
and these are these appraisers part of a organization or a group that would then actually run it too? Are they affiliated with those?
No, they're strictly appraisals. They might have referrals for you to
Okay.
some of those. These are big companies. I mean, not every appraiser can do a golf course. I mean, but I do have the list of 4 of them that I just got from.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not that expensive, I'm all for it.
Well, we could at least see the proposals, so if you
Cost of
wanna,
the cost.
for the cost, if you wanna provide that to Ms. Denny.
Yeah, you did it right.
Yeah.
But I do want to say they did come up with some great ideas, but it's a tough nut. It's not the biggest fun, but
Thank you.
there's 4 different appraisers that are available to can. So I appreciate your consideration.
Yeah, thanks for stepping up and doing all this too.
So I wanted to take a look at the course. I'm a local guy, I'll
Yeah.
play it. But at the same time, I see the improvements that need to be made. We talked about the steps on 10, but that costs money.
Yeah.
So we need somebody else to pay for it. Why not? We still have a golf course and still stays open.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Noble, did you have a
No,
question?
that was clear.
Okay. Okay, any other comments or questions about Ingleside Golf Course? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to Finance Department, Mr. Wilson.
You have a report, nothing really outstanding to report. Revenues are on target, I would say, in terms of real estate transfer taxes and in the code area, we're significantly above budget at this point. Expenses are on target, either at budget or below. So we're having another good year financially as we did last year.
Any questions for Mr. Wilson?
I got it.
Mr. Desario, can you come to our podium, please?
I asked you about this before last week. On the back page, you bought a backhoe for $110,000, and you're making 3-year payments on it. How much did that come to? $600,000?
No, the payments were over 4 or 5 years on that. Interest rate on that was 2.5%.
So how much did that come to in the end?
I can get that information.
That's right there with the 3 years payments is over $600,000 for $110,000.
I don't, where are you getting that?
On the very back page, setting on down the back.
Those are annual payments.
Oh, annual payments? Okay.
Yeah, all the payments are annual.
All right, then one below it, the same way, the truck?
Annual payments, they're all
Oh, okay,
annual.
that's fine, they didn't know, thank you.
We got the gold plated ones.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Wilson? Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve general checks 43429 through 43516. And I believe, well, first I'll entertain that motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Chambers, seconded by Commissioner Kramer. And we have Mr. Chambers needs to abstain. 43446.
Mine is not here.
Okay, so Commissioner Chambers does have to abstain from check 43446. Any other comments or questions on the bill list?
I just have one for the business cards, 43481, page 8, $159.
There will be several sets.
What's that?
It'll be several sets, I think Abby did pretty much everybody in the office.
Okay.
Is it Vistaprint? Is that,
It's UPS store, that's why I was wondering. I mean,
That's where Thorndale Printing went to.
oh, okay.
So Thorndale Printing doesn't exist on their own, they do it out of the UPS store.
Okay. Okay, that just seemed kind of high for, depends on how many you get.
it's about $40 per set. So if you ordered for 3 or 4 people,
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay, any other comments or questions on the bill list? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes 5-0 with the abstention noted. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the June 13th, 2019 Board of Commissioners minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Kramer, seconded by Commissioner Chambers. Any comments, questions, or corrections to the minutes?
Yes, I have 2 corrections, and I already spoke with Denise about this. For the approval, I abstained for the 2 previous meetings because I wasn't on the board then. It says that, but it says vote passed 5-0, it should say 4-0.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, or corrections? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes 5-0 with the corrections noted. And I will acknowledge receipt of the April 16th and May 14th, 2019 Planning Commission minutes. I don't think we need to motion for that, right? Okay. Any other items of additional business?
I have one. I would like to entertain, maybe just to discuss right now briefly, going back to the Coatesville Area School District and just start discussions with them around reinstating LRTA. They just approved LRTA for Coatesville. They pulled ours, 2 years ago without telling us, but I mean, I'd be willing to lead that effort to go have the discussion with the superintendent and members of the board to talk about getting that reinstated. I feel that they did a disservice to Denron, ACS, and all those other folks when they pulled out. I don't think they can sue.
You can't sue the school board?
I don't think they can.
It's their prerogative to offer
Yeah.
tax incentive or not.
But the fact that they've reinstated it for Coatesville,
Right, which say they should be able to afford it here.
I'd like to have that discussion with them.
if I
And
can
pretty much reinstate what we had in place before. And, because, I mean, I think we still have it in place for us in the county, right? And Coatesville's the only one that pulled out of it.
Coatesville's the only one that pulled out of it, but we have not been advertising it because it essentially is defunct without their biggest.
Right, yes, I mean,
If we can do anything for them to give Denron credit moving forward, because they really, what happened to them was ridiculous.
I agree.
Now, we have represented and we have participated for Denron,
But that's $500.
yeah,
If it's not.
I think 1,200.
Right.
But anything we can do to help Denron, I think really would go very far. What happened to them is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Check out NTW, were they affected by this?
Yeah, they didn't apply. ITB, you mean? Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah, they'd
apply.
already pulled out by the time they
Yeah.
submitted.
And none of the corporates, and that was one of the arguments that they were using, is that the corporates were gonna use it. Wawa, NTB, none of those have put, I don't believe Royal Farms is eligible, but none of the corporates put it.
They, oh,
We have a question from
I just have a suggestion, could we put together a list of the businesses that have been directly affected first, since they withdrew from the merger, present that to the open meeting as well as to board members at the next coastal school district meeting, and ask like business members of the community in Caln to come, boards, commissioners, because anyone can speak as a citizen, and if we have a series of them listed, they'll be bombarded with it.
Well, do we want to have a discussion with them first?
Okay.
So
I agree.
that would be my recommendation, is to have a discussion with them first, kind of find out what their, kind of get their justification, as opposed to calling them out in a public meeting.
No, I mean, at some point.
Well, I mean, if it gets to that.
If you get no movement.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with that. Yeah.
I'm just making at least line the ducks up with the businesses already affected.
Yeah.
At least go with that list going forward. But
Yeah,
that's
makes
just not fair
perfect sense.
business practices. Period.
No, I agree. That makes sense to me.
I would support you going and having a conversation with Commissioner Kramer.
I would too.
Consensus?
Yes.
All
Okay,
right, thank you.
yes. Somebody had a question? Yes.
Yeah, my name's Bill Shaw, State Representative. I would strongly suggest that you actually get on the agenda for the school board, and then speak to the school board about the fact that you would like to sit down, because you can't, there's no office, they're all part-time people like you who come to a meeting, and they aren't really allowed to talk to you individually.
Right.
Same way as if he was supervised, the commission. So I would strongly suggest that you ask to get on their agenda, and then start the process by saying that, hey, look, Township would like to sit down with you to discuss redoing the LERTA. And I mean, you guys do what you think is best. I know about Denmark and that, but you might want to leave that off the table until you get some movement on LERTA. And the other part I want to say is that the state representative in his office definitely would love to help you.
Awesome, that's great.
So, but again, you have to be careful with how, I mean, just imagine if somebody came to you while you're cutting your front yard and said, hey, I need to talk to you about township business. I want to open a business. I need a tax break. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I personally know some of the board members.
Right,
So,
and that's, you start getting those.
yeah, so, all right, I see what you're saying, so I'll reach out to your office as well.
Yeah,
Are you-
and like I said, I would suggest turning on the agenda for the next board meeting to discuss this, and then you can sit down in subcommittees or whatever. And
Right.
look at that, you know what I mean? And you can avoid all those issues.
Great suggestion.
And but definitely reach out to our office, I know person.
Thank you.
We'd be glad to help.
Any other items of additional business? Okay, public comments, we had a couple from earlier. Mrs. Spalding, did you have some more comments that you, or no? Okay. Mr. DeYoung, you're all set?
I just have one question. Since you're here, it's great. Is there anything else you've heard tonight that you can help us with?
Look, let me just put it in for a second. Or you stand up back here, everybody can hear me okay? I'm gonna be honest with you, I heard a lot of things here in other municipalities, I go to different municipality meetings every couple of months, that we would love to help with. Again, my boss doesn't always like my frankness, but let me just put it to you simply. It's budget week, so usually he's in session for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours a week and out in Harrisburg for 3 days. He's been in session since 8 o'clock tonight, that's after 6 hours of session today. So everything went through with the budget, they don't go back to Harrisburg until September, so there's like all this legislation they're trying to jam through with the House and the Senate. The reality is there's 3 of us that work in our office. We do everything, driver's license, the birth certificate, which we could help anybody with, real ID, constituent issues that come up where they need some help with something in the state or advising people, to larger projects. And well, Sikorsky's in the district, I'll leave it at that. So, we'll be glad to help with whatever you can bring us. But I always advise people, hey, look, if I hear something in here, I'm making notes. If something pops up, and I'm like, yeah, we're doing this, let's do it more, or something like the LERTA for Christmas School District, I'm gonna jump in, but reach out to us, right? I got a pocket full of business cards here, what's one can have on, right? And again, I hate to say that you have to reach out to us, but man, reach out to us, let us know what we can do to help. Because, it's a big district, it's pretty diverse, and there's just so much stuff. And in all honesty, we've only been there since February, so we're still, everything we do almost is a new template, So, but please reach out to us. That goes for you and everybody else in the room.
any residents in the district, town or otherwise, but certainly can.
Thank you.
Any questions at all, or anything I can help with?
What are the hours of the office?
Our hours actually, we just simplified them, so it's 9:30 to 4:30 every weekday. Yeah, we're right across the highway from here. Yeah, so we're right in the little strip mall between the Wendy's and the independent pharmacy. I say 9:30 to 4:30, but obviously I'm still on the clock, so we're in there a lot too. Give a call if you want to meet. It's like, let's say, hey, I'll be there at 6, no problem. If we can be there, we're going to be there. And usually if we're in there, we'll still leave the open sign open. We have the open close sign. So just check for that. But like I say, you can always call us and set something up. And the number, like I say, it's all over the place. I have a card, there's pamphlets out on the table out here, but it's 484-200-8256.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, is it 8256? Yeah. That just didn't sound right. Hold on a second, sorry.
I'll take a car walk.
A lot of numbers.
Dyslexia is amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is 8256. I'm not going to say it the other way, so I'll mess you up next time. Sure, sure.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Desario left. He had to talk about his pothole, so
We'll give him a call tomorrow.
you can follow up with him. Any other public comments? Yes. Can you come up to the podium, please? And just state your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is David Stewart. I actually live on Parkside Avenue, right on the edge of Caln Township. And it's really plain, but hopefully would lead towards changing how things work. This relates to the sewer trash bills. I'm very new to Caln Township. I just moved in last year. And I noticed that there's only one method of paying that's listed on the bill. That's mailing checks in. I was notified when I reached out that there is a way to have an auto debit that's online. That's not even listed on the bill, so I was not aware of that. But my big problem is a bill was never delivered to my address, and I received a late charge on my bill. When I reached out about it, they told me there's nothing they can do, that they can't guarantee delivery through the mail system, which I understand. They gave me a form to apply for to appeal the late fee. And I understand it's not an expensive late fee. It really isn't, but it's more the principle. I never got the bill. And they did inform me that this isn't an issue, that they've had many complaints about not receiving the bills, but that they just can't guarantee the delivery, so it's our fault. I then asked if if I mail my check out and it doesn't arrive to them, do I still get the penalty? And they said, yes, you still get a late penalty. And I said, well, how can I guarantee the delivery? And they said, you can't. So either way, it's our fault and we receive a penalty for it. They, of course, I don't remember if I mentioned, they refused my appeal because I haven't lived in Caln Township for 2 years, and that's the only way that you get a one-time waiver for the late fee. I don't think that's quite fair to residents if they don't receive their bills. I receive bills for everything, every week, and it's hard to keep track of which ones have been paid if I don't receive them. And there's not even an email notification. If email notifications were made available for the bills, that would probably be helpful too, because in the case of the mail system not being able to deliver them to you, you at least have another way of knowing what it is. The bill that I missed just happened to be the one that also changed, it increased. So I was also told if you don't send the full amount, you also get a late fee. So even if I set up recurring payments, which they suggested through my bank, I still would have been hit with this. So I feel like there could be a better system put in place, maybe even, I know many of the other, utilities like the Downtown Water Plant, for example, which we use, you can pay with a card online. You can notify by email and in the mail, and you can pay online. A system like that would be fantastic. It really helps, especially if you receive the bill late or you get filed with mail and you need to do a last minute payment, because you can't even walk in now to pay the sewer trash bill. It states that on the bill. I don't know if there's anything that can be done, since I already refused the late fee. But I would love to speak with somebody in the department to possibly fix these issues for people in the future.
Kristen, I thought we had set up online payments.
We were in the process of that, and then Pliget got out of the business, so we have to go to another vendor.
But you can come into the township, you can come into the township and pay, and we take credit cards here.
It states clearly in the bill, and I have it with me, that you can't do that anymore.
That's
News to me.
news to me also, because we have pretty significant walk-in traffic. You can also pay your bills at Downtown National Bank. You can mail them in. You can sign up for the direct debit program, which a lot of people do.
Right up here, no longer be accepting walking.
At the teller windows.
Is that applicable?
No, they're talking about a DB.
So that's relatively new. It's not just DMV, a lot of the banks are getting out of that.
We have people all day that come in.
So it could be done here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So
So-
I was not aware.
I didn't follow that completely, so they can't,
At the teller, if you go to pay at DMV, is a drop box, you can't go to a teller window and pay.
okay.
So, Chuck, I have a question. So, I guess it was about a year ago or so, Paul, when they used to have requests from people wanting to waive late fees for Caln, presented to the municipal authority. And then we, as the municipal authority, delegated that back to people here to have the option to waive those fees on that.
They actually requested that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm surprised that he couldn't get it waived, but honestly.
Yeah, you couldn't get away because the guidelines that were set up by the municipal authority, you needed to have a 2-year history of paying on time in order for us to waive it, so.
And I do recall that, 2-year history.
So because he was new, he doesn't get that option.
And you can't make exceptions for new.
Should be some grace, I think.
I'm sorry, my name is Paul Mullen, I'm part of the municipal authority board. May I just suggest, I mean, he can appeal again, and come to our board, and we can discuss it then.
Yeah.
Would you be able to give him the information?
Oh, absolutely.
That meeting date and time?
Oh, yeah.
So he would try to work with you on that issue.
Yeah, we can take care of him. I mean, he's a new guy in the neighborhood.
Just curious, where's your farm site do you live?
I'm 14, so I'm the fifth
I'm
house
number
in.
9, by the way.
Number 9.
Hold
on, it's your neighbor.
Yeah, so.
So, you can work with the municipal authority to try to repeal it again, and I think that would be a good idea to have some, I mean, not that I'm going to overstep, but I would suggest maybe having an exception for the open or something that you can work with.
Absolutely. May I just make one more comment? I think we're supposed to get a list from the front office folks as to who they've rejected as
Yeah, we
well as.
haven't really seen anything on that, so I just kind of figured something was going on.
Right. Might want to bring that back up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, another public comment.
Noel Bernard, George, this is for you. Exactly, and this is a pleasant one or so, I think. Can I make a recommendation on behalf of all of us? Can we invest in a microphone? I don't care if it's even one of these little ones, you know, could we do that? Could we consider that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I used to design AVs, so I'm willing to, I've actually already started to look at some stuff. So I'll work with Ms. Denny and see something that's feasible. We may be able to, I mean, some of the things that I'm looking at, and again, this is pursuant to the board approving it, but one of the things that I'm looking at is like a classroom. I don't know if you ever been a part of like a computer or what's the school, a correspondence type school where they would have online classes and those types of things. It's actually a camera that would sit on the wall and actually automatically points to whoever's talking. If you've ever worked with the Polycom teleconferencing existing systems, that technology's been around for, God, 15, 20 years, where audio or a camera can actually track. So there's also systems out there that are relatively inexpensive that could potentially stream a meeting. You know, I know some townships are actually doing that. So I will work with the board and maybe with Ms. Denny and staff and see if I can put together some type of proposal that maybe will help do that, but also augment in here, because sitting back there when that freaking wind tunnel kicks on, I mean, I know you can barely hear anything. And this system that's over here, I know we've tried it before, it's actually probably more annoying than not hearing anything. It cracks and hums and buzzes and makes all kinds of horrible noises. The thing's probably 20, 30 years old.
Yeah,
But-
like, I was thinking, see that, is that something that wouldn't work? I'm talking like something very simple, like a stand-up, like cheap.
Yeah, there's all kinds of solutions out
What
there.
is it?
Yeah, conference room solutions. I mean, you've probably seen, you know, where there's a microphone that they're tiny and they clip right in here, and you know we could turn them off and on. You know, we could also put table mics. I mean, there's a bunch of different solutions that are out there, and like I said, I've already started looking at some of those. I know we don't have them.
For us.
How about 1995 Mr. Microphone?
How about what? Everybody turn on a radio. Yeah. So, you're dating yourself, Mike. So, yeah. So, but no, I don't know. I know we don't have anything in the budget for that, but if it's relatively inexpensive, I'm sure we can work something out. But if you guys are cool with me taking the effort looking into that.
We can look into it.
I'm not promising.
Like,
No.
I'm saying stream.
we tried the handheld microphone,
That's
if
what
you
I'm like,
remember.
how they do it.
They have problems.
We had, and then we had the obnoxious
Yeah, then
thing
that was
up
horrible.
here, and it just doesn't work for whatever reason. This building is just not conducive to that. So you wanna look into it,
I'll look into it.
present us with some options, but we'll see what you come up with.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Small.
I'm Jim Spalding. Let's have one suggestion. I've worked with many, many companies over the years, consulting, working with them, doing jobs for them. And you begin to recognize patterns that are unhealthy. And one of the really unhealthy patterns that you could spot, anybody can, but it helps being an outsider sometimes, is the ones who can't do something. No, but just the use of particular words that constantly repeat themselves and depicting a feeling that, well, we're trapped by our own environment and what we can't afford a $10 million debt that we're going to put for my great-grandchildren to pay for here in this township, but we can't afford a speaker system that works. I have a problem with that because it's so easy for us to change that a little bit. Just maybe put a little counter box there that you say, hey, every time I use the word can't, I've got to use the word can do. Every time it's no, I have to use a yes somewhere.
Anybody said no to
Nobody
that.
said no.
And some kind of positive feeling, and make it pervasive, so that everybody in the organization and everybody has to interact, has to live by that same socialized kind of thinking. And somehow or another, that creeps into our conversations far too often here. Not enough that it's overly noticeable, but after a couple of meetings here, it begins feeling rather pervasive. And I throw that observation out to you. I mean it with both kindness and enthusiasm to, help us be able to communicate better and feel better about what we do. We're doing a hell of a good job here. There's a lot of good people working hard. And they deserve to know that they're doing okay, that it's not a can't, or that it's not a no. And we're some of them here. We all want to be part of it. We want to make it work better. Just an observation.
Great point. And one thing that I was thinking about the other day, in the meetings that we have in here, one thing that I like to do, just to dovetail right onto that point, everybody in here is here because they care about the community that we live in. Those of us sitting up here that are doing this thankless job, you know, we've volunteered our time to give back to our community and do what's best for the entire community. I mean, Mark and Paul stepping up as well to throw their name in the hat. You know, I mean, everybody that's in this room, staff, board members, as well as the citizens, I mean, we're all on the same team. So I agree with what you said. I really appreciate that.
Any other public comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.